I'm Perry Russom, and this is Burden of Proof, where we will be looking at some high-profile cases every day, and we are starting off with a trial over the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. We have attorneys Brian Buckmire and Bernarda Villalona here to analyze everything happening in court. So before we get all to the legalities, let's take a look at how we got here. September 7th, 1996, at the height of his career, Tupac Shakur, just 25 years old, was shot and killed near the Vegas Strip. He was riding in a car driven by hip-hop mogul and Death Row Records founder Suge Knight. Police say a white car pulled up beside them and somebody inside started shooting at them. In interviews with police and in his own memoir, Dwayne Keffe D. Davis said multiple times he was in the white car. He claims he did not pull the trigger, but he provided the gun. The prosecution is going to use those statements to build a case against him in court. Jury selection has wrapped up, and opening statements are set to start on Monday. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky walks us through the case.
I like to think I'm a revolutionary. I like to bring change.
30 years after his death, Tupac Shakur is still a prolific part of our pop culture. From our clothes to films about his life.
Why the cameras all on me? Why me? Because I'm Tupac.
Even in music, his imprint is still fresh.
Look at guys like Rick Ross, bald head, silk shirt. Look at Kendrick Lamar, unapologetically him.
Drake has Tupac's ring on right now that he bought at an auction somewhere.
I think hip-hop doesn't grow without Tupac.
At the time of his death, he wasn't just the biggest rap star with hits like California Love.
Say what you say, but give me that bomb beat from Drake. Let me serenade the streets of LA.
And breaking through in films like Juice.
Check yourself, Q. You gotta snap some collars and let them know you there to take them out anytime you feel like it.
He was a mainstream celebrity.
He's to hip-hop what James Dean was to rock and roll in the 1950s. And I always thought that Tupac would have been one of the greatest actors ever if he had lived and been able to fulfill his full potential.
In the last year of his life, he became the face of Death Row Records, an independent record label co-founded by rap icon Dr. Dre and Suge Knight, a former bodyguard who became a force in hip-hop music and grew the label to rival Sean Combs' Bad Boy Records. On September 7th, 1996, all eyes were on Las Vegas. Mike Tyson was set to fight Bruce Seldon, and some of music's biggest stars were there that night to watch the fight, including Tupac Shakur.
It's over in the first round.
Shakur, Suge Knight, and their crew walked through the MGM Grand Hotel lobby. There, they encountered Orlando "Baby Lane" Anderson, who was reportedly a known member of the Southside Compton Crips. Suge Knight reportedly had ties to the rival Bloods gang.
There had been a bounty for somebody to grab a Death Row gold pendant, and someone 2 months earlier had grabbed one off of this guy. So he sees Orlando and he says, "He stole my necklace," and Tupac and Suge just laid in and just started kicking and stomping on him.
The fight was caught on the hotel's security camera. Security broke it up. Tupac Shakur and his crew left, and Anderson declined to press charges. Just 2 hours after that fight at the MGM Grand, Shakur and his entourage headed to Club 662, a nightclub Suge Knight owned by the Las Vegas Strip.
Tupac's in a BMW. He's in the passenger seat. Suge is driving.
According to police reports, a white car, possibly a Lincoln or a Cadillac, pulled up beside Suge Knight's BMW. A gun emerged from the back seat, aimed at Shakur's side of the car, followed by a hail of bullets.
The bullets tear through his chest, hit his hand, tear through his side and rib cage.
6 days after he was shot, Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, did what no parent should have to do.
Tupac had stopped breathing. That every time they revived him, he just went back, and I asked them to leave him alone and to let him go.
He was 25 years old. As for Orlando Anderson, Las Vegas police have never publicly said he was a suspect or a person of interest in the case. Anderson has always denied his involvement in the murder, as well as any association with the Crips, telling the LA Times in 1997, "I wish they would hurry up and catch the killer so my name could be cleared." Anderson died in an unrelated gang shootout in 1998.
is the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
But in 2023, a break in the case. A SWAT team searched a home linked to Dwayne Keffe D. Davis, the uncle of Orlando Anderson.
Open up that door.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police. Come over here.
Police arrested Keffe D. near his home a few months later.
So what they got you for, man?
Biggest case in Las Vegas history.
Now 63, he has been behind bars awaiting trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur. He has pleaded not guilty. In 2025, he spoke with ABC News from jail, professing his innocence.
They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas. I'm not, nowhere to be found.
The Compton, California native grew up with notorious figures in hip-hop like Suge Knight. Las Vegas police interviewed Keffe D in 2009, 14 years before his arrest, obtaining what they've called a confession.
I seen the bullet like going Suge head. I seen the boy jumping up and down, trying to get in the back seat. The boy being Tupac.
And in 2008, Davis also confessed to a joint LA federal task force, a confession that Davis's attorneys have tried to keep out of evidence, since they say the interview was under an immunity agreement. But now, Keffe D is telling a far different story. He claims he was in Los Angeles, 300 miles from Las Vegas, on the night Tupac Shakur was gunned down. Prosecutors say Keffe D has incriminated himself multiple times over the years, from appearing in the docuseries Death Row Chronicles.
Who shot Tupac?
They keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
To writing a book and appearing on YouTube channels like The Art of Dialogue.
So what happened with the gun? Where y'all stashed the gun at?
I left it on the tire on one of them cars in the parking lot.
Davis now says his previous so-called admissions connected with the shooting were all made under duress or for money, claiming he did not even write his own memoir and was fed information by police. Asked in 2025, prosecutors declined to respond directly to Davis's new claims. They say their case is strong and they expect a conviction. They also say they plan to call witnesses who will testify Davis was in Las Vegas that night. Keffe D says he regrets what he has said in the past.
I shouldn't have said nothing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm innocent, man. And God got my back, and God will see me through this.
So how will the two sides battle for the early edge? Let's find out in a segment that we are calling Lawyer Up. Let's bring in Brian Buckmire. He is a former homicide public defender, and Bernarda Villalona. She will be used to be a homicide prosecutor. Brian, let's start with you. You're going to be playing the role of defense. Bernarda going to be playing the role of prosecutor. Big question for me is jury selection. So what would you be looking for if you were in this role looking for a jury?
So first and foremost, if you love Tupac from like a music standpoint, person standpoint, I don't want you at all. I don't want anyone that has like a vendetta, trying to get justice here, get the right person. And then probably after that, I'm focusing on the skeptics, because a big part of this case is why now? Why believe what the prosecutors are saying? And if I can drive a wedge between the statements that are made in these memoirs, these interviews, and then the actual evidence of the case, and then say, see, they're just after him because they want their pound of flesh. If I can get a few people like that who will believe in that kind of theory, that theme, that's who I want in my jury.
Bernarda, who do you want?
Let's be clear. Cases are won and lost during jury selection. So it's not about whether you danced to one of Tupac's songs or saw one of his movies or you're down with Death Row. It's about whether you can be fair and impartial. So mainly, number one, I'm going to be looking for jurors that believe in accountability, believe that even though this case is 30 years old, it doesn't mean that a person can't be held accountable. It doesn't mean that justice delayed is justice denied. We're looking for people that can follow the judge's instructions, people that can actually make a decision, because you don't want to go through all of this and end up with a mistrial. But mainly, you're looking for people that can believe that the words coming out of a person's mouth is a strong piece of evidence, because this case mainly evolves around all those statements made by Keffe D. Davis and admissions.
Here's the question I've always had for these high-profile cases. How do you root out the people that are just saying what they have to say to get on the jury, who are just paying the lip service? You know, I mean, money can be made after this if you're on the jury and you're trying to sell a book or something like that. Maybe I know the judge can set up some rules and all that, but how do you root out the people who just want to be on this on this jury?
Well, let's put it this way. I think probably Bernarda
Experience.
more so than me. Yeah,
It's experience.
We're
You've
not
been
new
in the
to this.
game this long.
Yeah.
You know, you're able to tell by body language and your gut reaction in terms of when a person is speaking, whether this is a person that you want to be on your juror. You're never going to get that 100% perfect juror, because that perfect juror for me is a person that Brian's going to go and get rid of that juror. So you're not going to get that one juror, but you want someone that at least we can say that we're on a level playing field and be like, we'll be able to listen to the evidence as it's presented in court and follow the judge's instructions.
Yeah, you got to kind of think about how jury selection operates, right? So we both have challenges where we can just be like, you know, I don't like the way this person looks. So long as I'm not discriminating them based on race, religion, whatever, I can kick them out. I'm kicking out who she likes. She's kicking out who I like. And then we've kind of have to like figure out the middle ground. So the person that you're worried about, if you like her side too much, I'm getting you out. And if you like my side too much, she's getting you out. That person that you're thinking about usually doesn't make it that far.
I know you said you don't want fans, but I feel like you'd have to maybe have one or two in to have some kind of middle ground to get this jury seated. No, I mean, you don't want any fans at all.
Well, she might want people who like Tupac and be like, hey, I followed his music. I think it was tragic the way that he was killed. The second I hear tragic the way that he was killed, out.
It's the words that you actually use.
No.
So for Brian, hearing a possible juror saying tragic, be like, wait, hold up. Now you're already showing your sympathy and empathy for the victim, so he will be looking to get rid of them. But once I hear someone mention the word conspiracy or law enforcement just want to take another black man down, you got to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to go.
I've picked jurors because the foreperson was a black African-American man. And I said, when you look at my client, what does he look like? He said, looks like a brother. I said, all right, so we're going to get you. And it's...
These are everyday people, too. These are everyday people who are a part of this.
It's like, as a defense attorney who's done this for over a decade, it's like speed dating. And you know who's going to like you
and that's exactly
and like
what
that.
I tell the jurors when I speak to them. Be like, this is going to be a quick round of speed dating. Not that I've never done speed dating, but look, I'm going to be asking questions just to see where your mind is at, where you stand, whatever feelings you may have, to be able to assist both sides on whether you're the right juror for this particular case. Because when it comes to homicides, first off, a lot of jurors want to be excused as soon as they hear that it's a homicide, because they don't want anything having to deal with that enormous weight that death is involved in this prosecution.
You mentioned the speed dating. How quickly can you tell if somebody's right for it or not?
Oh, I can tell within a few seconds. Because it's that gut reaction that you have. And again, from doing it for so long, I've been doing this for over 20 years and I've tried over 100 cases. So dealing with people on a day-to-day basis as well.
You're engaged. I'm married. I'm not going to get you in trouble.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But could you walk into a bar and tell which person thinks you're attractive or not?
Yeah. It's like that. It's just like dating. I mean, you hit it on the head.
Yeah, and if I see someone smiling too much at Brian, I'm getting rid of them.
What if like a polite wink at Brian?
Exactly, that wink is going to get you out of this courtroom.
All right, good to know. No winking at Brian. I want to talk about the trial. I mean, Suge Knight is a huge force in hip hop. He's crucial to this case, really. Do you think he's going to take the stand? Because this whole thing is like streets. Like whatever happens. It's not my job as the cops to figure out. I stay out of this. Do you think Suge takes the stand?
So the problem is, the prosecution, the government has all this power to bring a prosecution forward to arrest someone and have them stand trial. But they're also limited because they can get a material witness order and have Suge produce that trial, brought down in cuffs, and put him in front of a jury. But what benefit are you going to get out of it? Because you can force him to take the stand, but you can't force him to say what you want them to say. Suge Knight has never, at least we don't know, has never been forthright as to what actually happened. So in a case like this, as a former prosecutor, if I don't have a statement where Suge Knight is saying Keffe D was involved or he saw the person take the gun out and point it and shoot Tupac, then what value does he add? Or is he more of a distraction? As opposed to, can I bring another witness to testify as to what Suge Knight can bring me in the sense of that he was the driver of the vehicle, he was driving with Tupac, that there was a shooting. If I can do that, then I'll bring the other witness as opposed to Suge Knight.
But do you roll the dice in bringing him up to the stand even if you're not 100% sure if he's going to talk?
No, because the thing is that first off, a judge can't prevent you from calling a witness to the stand who you know is going to plead the fifth or say that they're not going to give any testimony. Or a judge may say, we can bring him into court, but you're going to question him outside the presence of the jury so we can determine whether he will be providing testimony. testimonies. It all depends how the judge wants to control the courtroom.
So the big question for you, if you're playing defense as Keffe D, he has to try and prove where he was 30 years ago. Because he in the book, he says, in the book that he wrote, he says he was there. And then later on, he said, no, I didn't write that. I wasn't there. How do you prove where somebody was or was not 30 years ago?
So first and foremost, as a defense, I don't have to prove nothing. It's not my burden.
Right.
I'm going to operate in the standpoint of, you've got to prove this. All I've got to do is show to the jury there's a reasonable explanation that is non-criminal, that creates some sort of doubt on the elements of the crime or the way that you're playing this. So I don't have to prove anything. What I have to do in my mind as a defense attorney, I don't try to chase what's right. I try to stand in a place that I know the jury is going to come to me and say, well, he's standing in the right place. And what I mean by that is, you're going to look at his book. You're going to look at his interviews. We could do it with everyone, right? We can do it with politicians. We can do it with famous people. We can do it with people who do music. Sex sells. Hyperbole sells. Headlines sells. If he said the exact same thing that he's going to say on the stand in the book, that book wouldn't have sold. People would not have booked him for interviews. I've done this before where I've had clients who they tried to use their music against them, and I've had clients who, without getting into details, were non-criminal in the way that they operated. Like one was a student trying to go to get his EMT license, but he rapped about gang violence.
Right.
But it's different here because you have that proffer agreement where he actually sat down with the feds and gave information about what actually happened. So what were you selling there?
We got to take a break because I want to talk about that on the other side. We will be right back with Burden of Proof after this. All right, let's continue the conversation with Lawyer Up. We have Brian Buckmire here. He is a former homicide public defender, and Bernarda Villalona, she used to be a homicide prosecutor. So jury selection is underway in the Tupac Shakur murder trial. Keffe D is on trial here with this. I want to talk about this book. You brought the book that Keffe D wrote, but then says he didn't write. He said a ghostwriter did everything.
Wait. Is it just Keffe D who wrote that, or was it someone else's name?
with Yusuf, but his name it's his book.
Okay. Just make sure.
Well, no, but how would you bring this? That's a great point. How would you bring this in? Because the whole thing is, did he write it? Did he not write it? His name's on it, but he's like, I didn't write any of it. How would you bring this into the courtroom?
So first off, it's a matter of laying the foundation in the sense of all the statements he's given throughout the years. It's not just this book where he pretty much had diarrhea of the mouth when he was talking about all his crimes he's committed, but also when he sat down for the 2008 proffer with the feds. He was under a federal prosecution or federal investigation having to deal with drugs. I think once you start laying out the timeline and how many times he has said that he's been involved, and in addition to that, be like, well, then he publishes a book, and the book is about his story, is about him and how he's marketed that book in the sense that he's been with Vlad on YouTube and gave an extensive interview. And every time, at least over 5 times during that interview, he was like, if you want to know the truth, then get my book. The truth is inside of my book. And when does he decide to say, you know what, it was just to sell books? It's when the cuffs are placed on him. It's not before that. Once he gets arrested is now when he's like, I have nothing to do with this book. So laying that out for the jury, I think is going to make the huge difference for this prosecution.
And then your job is just to poke holes. You just poke holes in everything she just said.
Not necessarily. I'm going to use what she says because there's this idea of like, I have to do exactly the opposite of the prosecutor. No, let's lay out the foundation. Let's lay out the timeline. Let's lay out the timeline for every time Keffe D went into a meeting for the book and they talked about sales. And then he went out and said, this is the truth. And then sales bumped up. Let's see how he operated because this is a business, right? He was told to do something. He went and said it. It raised more profit. That's why he's saying these things. Let's also look about the proffer agreement, right? Because as a defense attorney, I don't want you to focus on the murders.
Explain what that is first.
So a proffer agreement is different than immunity in the sense that they say, hey, you come down here, you sit down, you talk to us about it. And if it's good and it works for us to go and prosecute other people because you're part of a gang, you do drugs, you know something or whatever it may be, we'll use this information for what you say in this setting, and we won't prosecute you for this setting. But you go and write a book, you go and do interviews, those things outside the proffer agreement may be used for you. Now, if I can create this trial where we're not talking about the murder of Tupac, but we're evaluating whether or not the prosecutor should have gone back on this agreement, as a defense attorney, I'm already winning because we're not focused on what we should be talking about. We are now evaluating whether or not the prosecution was right to take away this deal, and I'm already halfway there.
I feel like this book is going to be very important. I mean, you could use it in prosecution and defense.
Absolutely.
I'm very curious what happens. We got to jump though. I know there's so much to talk about with this. I know. I want to keep talking about it too. Bernarda and Brian, thank you guys, and stick around. We'll be right back. All right, this is Burden of Proof. Let's bring back Brian and Bernarda. We are getting close to the trial. I'm curious, what's one thing that you are looking for in this trial? What's one thing you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to see whether Keffe D is going to testify. Because of the multiple statements he's made, will he take the stand and for himself and say, like, these statements aren't true?
I mean, so how would the prosecution plan going forward? Not sure if he's going to take the stand or not. I mean, is there one person whose job it is just to be taking notes throughout the trial and going, okay, we can ask him about this, about this, about this?
Well, you can set it up as a prosecutor when you're setting up and actually prepping for trial. You're prepping it where you're just putting just enough. If you do want the defendant to testify, you're putting in just enough that kind of forces the defendant's hand that he has to testify to be able to answer some of these questions.
It's almost like baiting almost in some way. Brian,
exactly.
What are you looking forward to?
In my mind, Keffe D should never see the stand. I'm looking to see, in my mind, this is a case for the defense, how much or how hard you're going to throw your client under the bus. Because to some extent, you are saying words then were a lie, words today are the truth. Me personally, I've told my clients, hey, I will call your mother, your priest, and your doctor a liar if it lets me walk you out of here. Are you cool with that? Fine. I want to see if this defense attorney is going to do that as well and how far. Because you can't say, well, Keffe D's a truthful guy and he's a nice guy, but just trust him now. I want to see what the plan of attack here is.
I'm curious what Keffe D would say, knowing how that could affect him if he gets back out, and how that would respond on the streets.
That gets you back out.
That's true.
You know what's a lot safer? Not prison.
That's true. Not prison's a lot safer than prison. Brian and Bernarda, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us. We're going to have new episodes every weekday right here on ABC News Live, Disney Plus, and Hulu at 5:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Also available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Perry Russom in New York, and this is Burden of Proof.